animation world, everyone has gathered in the magnificent hall of the Median Palace. King Astyages sits on his throne, his gaze cold and sharp. The courtiers wait in anticipation. The palace doors thunder open, and Cyrus enters with confidence. His tall stature and eyes full of courage silence the room. His hands are free, and he has no intention of bowing before the king. His gaze is full of courage. At this moment, Artabaz, the nobleman humiliated by Cyrus in a recent altercation, steps forward with a face full of anger and fury, moving toward the king. This insolent boy humiliated me in front of the people. No commoner should dare disrespect the nobles. King Astyages casts a heavy, piercing glance at Cyrus, his voice cold and sharp. "Who are you to dare show such audacity?" But Cyrus, without hesitation, responds firmly with unwavering eyes. "Someone who will not tolerate injustice." At that moment, Merdad, the experienced shepherd who has known Cyrus since childhood, enters the hall. He casts a worried glance at Cyrus before turning to face the king. A long silence fills the room. With a sharp tone, the king asks, "You raised this boy. Tell me, who is he?" Merdad's heart pounds in his chest. He knows that if he speaks the truth, there will be no turning back. Finally, with a trembling voice, he says, "He is your grandson, your majesty." A wave of murmurs spreads through the hall. Cyrus stares at Merdad in shock, while the king's face trembles with rage. Cyrus' eyes are filled with disbelief and anger. Yet, amidst the loud clamor of the courtiers, the only sound he hears is the pounding of his own heartbeat. The king rose from his throne. His eyes gleamed in the dim light of the hall, filled with anger and disbelief. He glanced at Cyrus, then at Harpagus, his commander who had always stood by his side. With a trembling voice but full of authority, he asked, "Is this true? Is this boy really my grandson?" But Harpagus, the man who had always smoothed the king's path with words, remained silent. A silence heavier than any answer. A silence that held nothing but the truth. The king turned his gaze from Harpagus. In that silence, everything became clear to him. He accepted the truth. His anger flared inside him. The king of the Medes struck the wall in fury. With a face full of rage, he ordered, "Send him to Persia. Let him live in exile as one with no power. He will stand before me, but he will break in the face of my strength." Cyrus, the boy who had never bowed to greater powers, was sent to Persia, a place where an uncertain future, full of danger and power, awaited him. But one thing was certain: a great destiny awaited him. And the time would come when the fire of this fate would reach the halls of Media, a fire that no one would be able to extinguish. The training began in the lush fields of Persia as Cyrus stood before a seasoned master, a warrior whose skill was unmatched. The air was filled with anticipation as the first lessons began. His mentor, with years of experience, guided him through the ancient ways of combat. Each swing of the sword, each step in the art of war, was taught with meticulous care. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The young prince honed his strength and skill, pushing his limits with every training session. His muscles grew, his reflexes sharpened, and his resolve strengthened. Under the harsh teachings of his mentor, Cyrus began to understand what it truly meant to be a warrior. And now the day had come. The boy who once wielded a sword clumsily, unsure of his own strength, was now a formidable opponent. The master who once guided him now stood face to face with him in a sparring match. Their swords clashed with equal force, echoing through the air. Cyrus, now a man, had become his mentor's equal, and perhaps even more. Now he is ready. Years of training and hard battles have passed, and Cyrus, the bold and fearless young man, has transformed into a man capable of commanding a great army. Under the shadow of a tyrannical government which has kept the people in torment, Cyrus has decided that he will no longer stand by and watch injustice. He has built his army with loyal and brave soldiers who stand beside him, ready to defend their fate and the fate of their people. With a heart full of hope and unwavering determination, he marches toward a king who sees himself as superior to the people, exploiting his power. In the dead of night, through fields and mountains, his army moves forward, prepared for freedom and justice. This is not just a battle for a throne. It is a fight for the freedom of a people who have been trapped in the claws of oppression for years. The fate of this land rests in Cyrus's hands, and one day the fire of this revolution will reach the king's doorstep. And so, beneath the vast sky, Cyrus and his army march forward, unstoppable, unwavering, and ready to carve a new destiny in the heart of an empire.